Hello, hello, hello! In pursuit of their utopian visions, the radical left have committed some pretty awful atrocities. In fact, they're infamous for it. But have you ever wondered why they do this? Or why even the more tame leftists still seem to have such a twisted moral framework? Well, allow me to explain. One main hallmark of leftists, especially the radicals, is that they are naively utopian. Any hardcore socialist ideologue believes that humanity can, and one day will, be reshaped according to their particular vision of utopia, wherein all discrimination will be abolished and everyone will live happily ever after. It's a pretty picture, but not something that could ever be realised, for many reasons explained elsewhere. But nonetheless, radical leftists believe in their utopia wholeheartedly and sincerely. They believe their utopia is so morally good that accelerating its creation far morally outweighs any harm done in the present day. I mean, would you do terrible things if it meant saving everyone's souls from endless misery? Certainly, on the surface, it is at least understandable that there could be a hypothetical future that would justify atrocities in pursuit of its realisation. Could it be that an end is so good that the means are justified, in theory? I don't personally think so, but maybe. On paper then, this ends justify means mentality is at least understandably meant well. However, the envisioned utopias never will and never can exist, as they are fundamentally opposed to human nature and natural law. Thus, the absolute worst atrocities are justified in the name of a revolution that cannot possibly achieve its aims and will only ever create a path of destruction. Mass torture, mass starvation, mass injustice, organised mass murder, and far more graphic evils are justified in the name of naive utopianism. Now, this mentality isn't exclusive to left-wing psychopaths. It's seen in religions, cults, or really anything promising utopian end times. At least I can say, as a conservative, that my philosophy has no end times or utopia. Instead, conservatism is about sensible policy, promoting the culture, family, and nation, adapting to the technological and geopolitical realities of the time, and so on. Sure, we have idealistic visions of the world now and then, but we at least have the humility to accept that we may be wrong. There is no promised conservative utopia. For us, it's much more about making things better in the present. What this focus on the present day means is that we can have principles, rules of behaviour that we believe are appropriate today, regardless of how anyone has behaved in the past or how they will behave in the future. What are we conserving if we cannot even stick to principles? For us, there are no envisioned ends that would justify evil means. Not for a small c conservative. It is often joked that if the left didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. Certainly, with an ends justify means mentality, this statement actually bears a lot of truth. Again, this is something else the left has become infamous for. When the left were the ones on the sidelines, they claimed to care about a whole host of issues: free speech, tolerance, individualism, and so on. But now that they are in power, they have become the side of censorship, repression, collectivism, and more. Or you can see it in the media. The left used to screech about the biased reporting of channels like Fox News, criticism that was probably fair at the time, but now when leftists take politicians severely out of context, like with Trump's bloodbath comments, these same truth-seeking activists don't say anything at all, or at least their usual voice pieces don't make a peep. And look, obviously both sides have double standards. With few exceptions, I believe everyone on the planet has double standards to some degree. It's only human to view one's own tribe favourably and the other tribes unfavourably. But it seems to me that the left-wing double standards are not only more common, certainly in this day and age whilst they hold power, but are there by design. I mean, what was Orwell's concept of doublethink about, if not left-wing double standards? At least to a large extent. And this isn't just petty crap like journalists lying or the left crying about body shaming then making fun of a right-winger's body. It's actually far more serious and far more pervasive. I once again play you Vorsh.
Okay, I said that. I personally said that we're comfortable accepting a level of intellectual dishonesty.
Okay.
Sometimes, if intellectual honesty is the cost of a successful improvement of the state of humanity, then sometimes that just has to be made.
I'm very flexible, I guess, with means or methods. As
But just
long as it leads
sometimes
people in a
people-
good direction, I think it's generally pretty defensible.
People just report things that are just factually not true. That's my issue.
Sure,
Like-
they do that. But you call it selling out your principles, I call it fucking winning. And that's my principle. To win as a socialist, not to lose as a socialist. That's not my principle. I don't give a fuck about principled failure. Principled failure is worth dog shit.
The thing is, if you believe the ends justify the means, you cannot simultaneously hold any principles. Nothing is off the table. You may claim to hold principles and values when it suits you, but if you truly believe that your goal is so good that any action is justified in its pursuit, there is nothing you would not do to achieve it, especially including lying, deceit, and holding double standards. Again, conservatives, libertarians, and even classical liberals do not have an ideological reason to deceive, beyond the occasional political manoeuvring, although that's not ideological. Thus, whilst we undoubtedly do hold double standards, it's nothing beyond what's natural from basic human tribalist mentality, not official strategy. Lastly then, I've talked about how utopianism creates a political culture of justified atrocities, zero standards, and plentiful deceit, but the left actually also differ in what they want. And by that, I don't just mean the ways in which their utopia differs, but the actual sorts of things they care about are different. This paper, Ideological Differences in the Expanse of the Moral Circle, published in Nature in 2019, contains a number of graphs from studies done about where people of different political leanings rate themselves in terms of caring about different issues. Also, please bear in mind that this study uses the utterly stupid American framing of left versus right as liberal versus conservative. So please read liberal as left-wing and conservative as vaguely right-wing, though probably not even far right. Anyway, at first the results are as expected. The left appeared to have a preference for all people, above the right who have a preference for the family, though the difference is small. Then there is a far starker difference in preference for universalism versus nationalism. It doesn't take much guessing who prefers what. Then there is a graph showing the right identify far more with country and community, versus the left who identify more with all humanity. Again, expected. But the weirdest one is this, where many on the left identify far more with non-humans than those on the right do. I mean, only the extreme left actually prefer non-humans, but even the differing preferences of the moderate left is very shocking. But this is the graph I wanted to highlight. This here is a heat map of moral allocation by distance to oneself. I suggest you pause and read what the graph represents, and it will of course be linked below too, and I suggest you read the paper as well. But essentially it ranges from the middle rings representing family and friends, to the outer rings representing extraterrestrial aliens, weird bacteria, and literal space rocks. The study then found that the left prefer literal fucking space rocks over their own families. I mean, you think about how bloody weird the nutters from Just Stop Oil are, and I think this study has found out why. Visually, it's the complete reversal of the conservative heat map. Like, I'm actually struggling to believe it. I mean, come on, the furthest ring for humans is only at 9, yet the leftist concentration is highest around 13 and 14, alien rats and bacteria. No wonder these people make no fucking sense to us. This is wild. I mean, to borrow a phrase, who hurt you? Anyway, these radical leftists are clearly bloody weird. They will do anything to achieve their utopias, and it seems their utopias are now more concerned with asteroids and seaweed than their own local communities. Like, I presume these people actually believe they can help all these different life forms, so as they see it, the bigger the group they care about, the more morally virtuous they are as a person. It's incredibly naive, of course. You can't realistically save the aliens, and even if you think you're saving the environment, who are you saving it for, exactly? It seems to me that many of the most radical environmentalists want to save the environment for the environmentalists' own sake, and don't actually care about humans anywhere in the process. Though in any case, I doubt impoverishing ourselves through high tax is actually saving anyone. If there is any lesson in this, I think it should be to have humility. As cool as it looks in the Disney films, you're not going to save the world, and you're not going to bring about utopia. So please, work on yourself, work on your family, improve your community, and accept that you may be wrong about things. And if you are wrong, can you at least say that you have lived your life as a good person? Because if your ends are not achievable, your only moral judgment will be against your means. Also, clean your damn room. With that said, I hope you found this video entertaining, if not enlightening. I'm sure this video will be somewhat controversial, so by all means write a comment. I'd also greatly appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and even donated to my Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks for watching, and God save the King.